Welcome to episode 40 of Broad Street Hustle. The Super Bowl is finally here, the 40th episode. We're ready to kick it off. We're gonna talk the game. We alluded to having a prop contest, so we're gonna be out 7 props with some mythical dollars involved. See how everybody does. Hopefully cash some tickets for everybody. We didn't mention last week we were going to get our show up on YouTube, and as of today, it is up on YouTube. A little late, but we did get it up, so it is out there from last week to test. But we're ready to roll with this one this week, this episode, and we'll get it right up after we finish recording. So let's jump right in. I'm your host, Tommy Nanny. As always, we've done 40 of them. You should know by now. With me is Jason Sayetta.
What's up, Tom?
What's up, Jason? And I got Jimmy the Chalk.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Super Bowl? And then joining us as he has all football season and baseball season, Christopher Michael Meeker.
Yeah, what a year to start a podcast when you have 2 of your Philadelphia teams making the championship round, right? So we're still talking football, Eagles football into week, 2021 here.
Yeah, Meeker's a long-time Phillies fan, now adopted Eagles fan.
I don't know about that.
Eagles fan, it seems like it, but
it's a great year to actually follow the team closely. I'll tell you that, and it's been fun for sure.
Yeah, well, let's jump right in. Like I said, episode 40, Broad Street Hustle. You can catch us on YouTube. Just go YouTube, whatever it's called, Broad Street Hustle. We're on Twitter at Broad Street Hustle. You can see us. Let's jump right in. Super Bowl, Chalky, help me out. What's the Roman numerals on this one? 57.
LVII.
57. There you go. It is Kansas City Eagles. Let's get some opinions. Open it up. Get some conversation, some arguments. Jason, start us off.
All right. So when I looked at this game, I looked at a number of things, right? But 2 things I looked at in particular, and one, I did a little exercise on quarterbacks, and I'm going to ask you guys to kind of keep me honest. We're not going to go through every quarterback in the league, but what we're going to do is go through a bunch of them, and we're going to say we're going to rate them, right? Your elite quarterbacks are going to get a +2. Your better than average quarterbacks are going to get +1. Your average are going to get 0. Below average -1, awful quarterback -2, so on and so forth. All right. So I have a rating. I'm going to give my rating. You guys keep me honest. Make sure my rating seems okay. So I'm going to start with Goff. All right. Now, for me, Goff is an average quarterback at best. But for this year, I think he was a good quarterback this year. I think he had a good year. I gave him a +1. You guys okay with that?
For this year, but he's if you're ranking for this year only.
He had a +1 year. I would give him a +1.
He had a +1 year,
yeah, for this year only.
Okay, all right.
Can
so
we
let's
go
move
halves?
on.
Is that too complicated? I'd be more inclined to
say
say
no
0.5,
halves.
but
So
we'll go. Okay, I'll give you 1.
All right, so Kirk Cousins, I gave him a +1. He's an above average quarterback. I mean, when you think of the quarterbacks in this league,
he's above the average line for sure.
So then
he's close to a 0.
But I mean, you would say he's above average, right?
Yeah.
Come on. He's close to a 0. I can't. I don't think he's above average.
Chalky, what do you give him?
I mean, if we're calling, I did a similar exercise just in my mind, like ranking the top 10. He's borderline top 10 if we're saying average is 14, 15,
so then
16,
average
17.
is 16.
He's a 1 for me. Not a great one.
So 3 out of 4 of us have 1. So I would have to give him a 1.
You guys go to war with Kirk Cousins. Be my guest. Go ahead.
Carson Wentz. I gave Carson Wentz a 0.
This year?
I mean, when you think of the quarterbacks in this league that can't throw a forward pass, I mean, he's a 0.
He's one of them.
There might be 20 quarterbacks I'd take above him. No,
all right, so you would do -1?
Mm-hmm.
I might even go as far as -2, but
I'll
go the -1.
Come on. All right, -1. All right, so I gotta update that. Okay. Trevor Lawrence, I gave a +1. He's not elite. He might eventually be elite, but he's.
No, I mean, I see where you're going with this. If you're going to what was he the time he played the Eagles? He's a 0 at best. By the end of the year, I would say +1.
Give him +1. Give him +1. All right, Kyler Murray. I gave.
See, I
think
you. I say just. Well, I think he's negative. Just obviously you can tell I'm hard on quarterbacks, but I just think not to disparage your little game here, but I think your scale is flawed because you don't leave enough. There's not enough room between +2, +1, and 0. You have to put them into a bucket, and I don't think they fit into three buckets.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go in and I'm just doing in general.
Like, yeah, I know. What you want to do is make Hurts look like he's just no better than the Kirk Cousins or whatever like that.
There at all.
Is what it sounds like. So okay,
I think it's a different angle, but I'll go -1 on Murray.
You'll go -1
for this year. Yes, he regressed.
Okay.
I'm a 0. I'm a 0.
I'm 0. Tom?
-1.
Okay. All right. So
I expect a lot from quarterbacks.
Okay. -1. Okay. Cooper Rush, I gave a -1.
I do NR, not rankable.
But you got it for this
-1
exercise.
Yeah, I mean -1, -2. Whatever. Pick a negative number.
I'll go -2.
He's a -2 on any team but that Dallas team, probably, but maybe the Eagles.
All right, you want to go -2? Okay, I'll go.
I mean, he played like 4 games.
Yeah, I can't really.
But he played, so you got to. Who did you play against? Okay, Kenny Pickett, I gave a 0.
Yeah, are these the teams the Eagles played?
Let me go through it. We got a couple more minutes.
This is obviously who the Eagles played because I have your strength of schedule to reboot your Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm doing this exercise. Kenny Pickett 0. Anybody?
No, and now that I know the exercise, +2.
Of course, yeah.
-1.
Because the Eagles are going to win 84-3. Okay.
Well, I mean, look, what do we give Goff? We gave Goff a +1, and we're comparing that to Pickett. If we're comparing Goff to Pickett's a rookie. I mean, like he's not. At this moment.
But he's serviceable. Like he didn't go. He's
all right.
He's an average quarterback right now. Could he become a +1? Of course. But
I'll give you a 0 on Pickett.
All right. Davis Mills, I gave a 0. You guys are probably gonna. I'm trying to be a little.
I think he's a -1.
Yeah, he's
-1. Okay.
Yeah, -1 for sure. Maybe 2.
He's not -2. Okay. All right. Heineke, I gave a 0.
-1.
-1.
Yeah,
I'll say 0. I think he could be in that middle group. But
Matt Ryan, I gave a 0.
This year he's -1 to me.
All right. Aaron Rodgers, I gave a +2. I think he's one of your elite quarterbacks. Did he have an elite quarterback year? No.
No, but he's still a +2. Yeah.
Exactly. Tannehill, I gave a 0.
0.
All right. Jones, I gave a +1. I think he had a +1 year. I'm not a big fan of him, Daniel Jones, but I gave him a +1. I gave Justin
He's closer
Fields.
to a 0 for me, but okay.
He had a +1 year. Come on, you got to give it.
Well,
to him.
0 is average, right? So he's like about average.
He was a little above average this year. I gave Justin Fields a +1.
I can accept a +1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave Justin Fields a +. I mean, listen. Beginning of the year, no, but by the end, okay. Dak Prescott, I gave +1.
+1.
Okay.
Agree. He's
Andy Dalton, I gave a 0 to Andy Dalton. Probably being a little, giving him a little leeway there. I gave a 0 to Andy Dalton. All right.
Yeah.
Webb the Giants, -2 for Webb. All right. Daniel Jones again +1, and then San Francisco, nobody at quarterback. That's a -3 to me. So when you add all them together, the net of the Eagles who they faced in quarterbacks is -1 because you guys adjusted quarterbacks. I had them at +3. You guys adjusted down. Let's move over. The Chiefs, Murray. So what did we give him? We gave him -1, so that's got to be adjusted. I gave him a 0. Okay. Matt Ryan. Oh, no, Herbert, +2. Elite quarterback. Matt Ryan, 0.
Lost in that game. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter. I'm talking about who they faced. Matt Ryan.
I'm just
0.
telling you the fact that they lost.
Tom Brady, +2. Elite quarterback. David Clark.
This year? Not this year.
Tom Brady's not an elite quarterback. He's not one of your top 6 quarterbacks when you go down the list of the quarterbacks.
What did you give Dak Prescott?
Not.
A +1? Well, then that's
This
what
year?
he is because I think
I
he's
didn't.
as Dak.
I forget what my top 6 was, but for the way he played this year, again.
Okay. All right.
+1.
So
And
then
for his
we'll
career,
give
of course, he's a
+1.
+2.
I
But
think
I mean,
he's the
that's
greatest quarterback
He's a
of all time, and he was
+1,000.
still not exactly that level, but not far off. Okay. What's your name? Derek Carr, +1 for Derek Carr. Slightly above average. Josh Allen, +2.
for sure.
Lost.
It's all right. +2. They faced him. Jimmy Garoppolo, I gave a +1 in that offense. He's a +1. He's a slightly above average quarterback. Willis, I gave a -1. Malik Willis.
-2.
You give -2? Okay. I'll give him -2 then. Lawrence +1. We already talked about that. Herbert +2. We talked about. Perkins -2 for the Rams.
Perkins.
I was trying to remember what game
They have good pancakes.
Joe Burrow
Their pancakes
+2.
+1.
Joe Burrow +2. Russell Wilson 0 this year. Mills -1. You guys said, so we'll go to -1 there. And then Geno Smith, I gave him a 0. You could say he might have been slightly above average, but I still gave him a 0 this year. Russell Wilson.
I think
0.
if you're just saying this year, he's got to be above average because he had like the highest passer rating in the league, right? It's hard to be average and do that. I mean,
Who's that?
Smith.
Geno Smith. Yeah.
You want to give him +1? We could do
They
it.
If we're
also
talking this
played-
year,
they
if we're
were
talking
play-
this year,
they
he played as an above average quarterback.
Okay.
This year.
They also the
+1
Chiefs
then.
played him the second to last game or third to last game of the season when he played like 5-6 consecutive poor games when he was
But
probably
they played him.
-2. But I don't
Right.
understand this
Russell-
exercise. It's stupid.
So the
To be quite
exercise,
honest
so
with you.
we'll go down and say when we go through all the quarterbacks the Chiefs played, they have a net rating of a +13 now. To the quarterbacks that the Eagles faced this year,
because
is
they
a
played Herbert
-1.
twice and you gave him a +2, so that's 4 right there. They also
But
lost
you
to Allen,
played against
so they
him
lost to
twice.
they lost to your +2 in Allen. They lost to your +2 in Burrows, right?
Okay,
so
and
there's
the
two.
Eagles lost
two
to
they
Andy
played,
Dalton, who's 0. Okay,
But my point
They
is,
lost
your
to
strength of
Dak
schedule
Prescott.
argument doesn't work because every time they played a team that was any good, they lost. They beat the Chargers twice on their strength of schedule by a combined 6 points. They lost to Buffalo. They lost to Cincinnati.
Okay, so they beat the Chargers twice. You said.
And they
them
beat San
twice.
Francisco. They have 3 good wins. And they
Did
lost
They not
two
beat
big-
Joe Burrow. Didn't they beat Joe Burrow?
Well, you talking about last week. I'm
week,
talking
yeah.
about the regular
That's
season.
part of the equation. That's part of who they.
But they
faced.
lost to Joe Burrow during the season.
Okay, and they
During the
also
season,
beat
they
him.
lost, yeah.
Did the Eagles face anybody like Joe Burrow during the season? Point
It's
is
a dumb, stupid argument. I don't know
Okay.
what else to tell you.
it's dumb,
It is.
but the Eagles face nobody at quarterback, and the Chiefs have faced many elite quarterbacks this year. So
And lost
In-
a lot of them when they played them.
and they won some of them too. And the Eagles had no record against them. We don't know. All right.
So again, you're just like last week. You're penalizing a team that destroyed everybody that they were asked to play.
We don't know. They destroyed everybody, and you see the quarterbacks that we just listed who they destroyed.
There's 5 good quarterbacks in the league.
And
That's
the
it.
Chiefs played all of them, and the
Lost
Eagles
and
played
lost to half of
none
them.
of them,
And lost to half of them.
and they beat some of them. Who did the Eagles beat?
And they lost to half of them.
And
So
who did
they
the
won
Eagles
and lost.
beat?
Doesn't
Who did-
matter.
which
They
one
haven't
did the
given
Eagles
the
beat?
chance. They haven't been given the chance.
Okay, well, I'm saying, show me when you.
I
face
just
them.
think it's a tired, dumb argument that's
Okay,
going to
it's
backfire
dumb.
in
It's
everybody's
dumb because you
face.
think the Eagles are going to win 84-3 every game. That's
I
why
didn't
it's
say
dumb.
that. I didn't say that.
Yeah. Okay.
I had them win by 10 last game. Oh, my bad. They won by 30.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Against a
Oh,
-3
they didn't have a
because they didn't have a
quarterback.
quarterback.
They didn't have a
Okay, let's move the strength of
They
schedule,
didn't have a
Eagles fans.
quarterback.
Let's move the strength of schedule, okay? In the last 20 Super Bowls, all right, there have been 12 instances where a team has had a greater than 10 team strength of schedule. And when I say that, if you're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, I'm just pulling teams I'm not saying these are the rankings. If the Vikings had a 20 strength of schedule and the Colts had a 6, then that would count. All right. In the 20 Super Bowls, where that's in the last 12, there's been 12 instances. The teams that had plays the better strength of schedule are 10-2. Okay. And one of those losses was Atlanta, who was up 28-3 on the Patriots. Of course, they blew the game, but come on, they're up 28-3. They shouldn't be losing that game. So really, it's almost an 11-1 advantage in that instance.
I just think strength of schedule is so skewed because the disparity of teams is so bad right now. When you play a team like the Bears, your strength of schedule is immediately going down because they have 3 wins.
Okay, but
When the
that's why
Chiefs
we
played
use the
teams,
last
when the
20
Chiefs
Super
played the
Bowls.
Bills, they played the Chargers, and there's teams all with good winning records, even though they lost to two of those teams. Their stretch says immediately is going to be instantly better because of that.
Well, that's why we're using this era and not, 40 years ago. We're talking about this era, which it's not that much different this year than it's been in the last couple of years. So
I disagree, but go ahead.
Okay, so that's fine because of course you're going to pick the Eagles. I'm just saying these are the things I looked at when I came.
And you're going to pick against the Eagles. We've already proven this fact.
Oh yeah, did
Yes,
I pick against them against the Giants?
Well,
I give my honest opinion.
Of course not.
I'm not waving an Eagles flag and saying they're going to win every game.
Well,
all right,
you do that. You won 17. What are you? 16 or 14-2? I mean, that's not a bad way to do it.
I'm giving my honest opinion. I pick against the public, and the public's all over the Eagles. All right. And I just gave you the other reasons, and I think Mahomes has an advantage over.
Was it the public on the Eagles against San Fran?
Yeah, come on. You pick against the public. You know it's not 100%, but if you keep picking...
and I did that all playoffs, and it's been wrong because the playoffs and the Super Bowl is a different animal than the regular season.
So those are my reasons why I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win the game. All right, go ahead, Eagles fans. Give me your opinions why the Eagles are going to win.
Chalky, you want to rebut? Unless you might have the Chiefs too. I don't know.
Well, I can give you a score because the score has been in my mind for a week and a half, and that's 27-23. I've changed my mind on the teams a couple times,
Said that too.
But I'm on the Eagles right now, so that'll be the official pod pick. And I'll just throw a couple other statistics out there. This is a matchup of the number one passing offense versus the number one passing defense. It'll be the 8th time in Super Bowl history that has happened. The number one passing defense is 7-0. In Super Bowl.
What's the last one, Chalky? What's the last game?
I've been trying to find that, and somebody on Twitter put it out that I trust, but they could be completely made up because I was trying to find that all day and I couldn't find some of the matchups. I believe at least one of the last ones was probably Seattle versus Denver. Manning
what about
that record-setting touchdown
Tampa one
season.
had to be pretty close, and
that's what I was thinking. That might have been that game.
Tampa Mahomes. I don't know if Tampa was the top passing defense when they played Mahomes.
They had the good rushing. I know.
No, they did. They were good. Yeah, I'm gonna keep looking while we talk, but I haven't been able to find those breakouts yet. They could have been the first 7 Super Bowls for all I know. I'll put that caveat out there, but some of them had to be somewhat recent. And if you believe in some of the advanced metrics, Football Outsiders has the DVOA, which takes in a number of things into account, including strength of schedule in every game and every opponent, and they rank overall for the year. They had the Eagles ranked as 3, KC 4. So if you believe in some of that advanced metric stuff, they're saying schedule factored in along with everything else still gives you. Now, the Bills were number 1 at the end of the year, and San Fran was 2. They're obviously both sitting at home right now. San Fran lost their quarterbacks. The Bills got beat by a team that was better prepared for them. It might be a better team at this point. And I kept going back to KC because, look, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. And really, if we were to rank him as a 2, that's underrating because he's on a tier, after this year, he's on a tier by himself. Brady's retired. Rodgers isn't Rodgers. Allen did not take that next step forward, injury or not. He just didn't. He's on a different tier than anybody else you want to rank. He'd be worth 5, in my opinion, on that kind of scale. So, in the end, I just think they'll find enough ways to slow the offense down enough. I mean, again, small sample size, 2 Super Bowls. Mahomes didn't have really great games in either one. They're not what you would call Pat Mahomes games, or Patrick Mahomes, whatever you want to call him. But, he's had 2 interceptions in both games. And very slow starts to both games. In the Tampa game, they were out of it by halftime. In the 49ers game, they only had 10 points through the first 3 quarters. Again, it might not happen like that this year, but if they're that slow to start against the Eagles, I don't think they'll win the game. I think KC wins a back and forth game or a game where they get out because I don't think the Eagles are built to come from behind. KC would be, if you tell me somebody's going to be up 10 points, who's more likely to win? KC. Mahomes has done it enough. But this offense for the Eagles is better than that San Francisco offense from a couple years ago. And I said it last week. It's only 2 years in, but to me, Sirianni impresses me more with in-game calling and adjustments than Shanahan does. So I would trust him with a lead in the Super Bowl more than I would with Shanahan. And then, they got knocked out of it. I mean, Tampa jumped on them towards the end of the first half in that other Super Bowl, and it was kind of downhill after that. So I think there's enough mismatches that are in the Eagles' favor. I think it's a very closely matched game because both lines are great. I think the Eagles are slightly better on both, but they built through the trenches, which is the way Andy Reid does it, and the Eagles have done it since he left. And I think unless Hurts is severely impaired more than we expect, I think they'll do enough to win the game. And I have a little more confidence in this week because when he came off the 2-week rest with the Giants game, he hit a bunch of passes, looked all right. Did not look good against the 49ers at all. He's had another 2 weeks to rest now. So if there's any lingering, hopefully he's got a chance to heal that up a little bit. I think they can attack some of these Chiefs corners and make some plays. And, you know, the Chiefs have a weakness up the middle with the run game. I think if the Eagles can hit some passes early and then mix that run in, they have an opportunity to make some plays. Now, Eagles are not a good screen team. The Chiefs can do a lot of stuff that will throw them off too, and Andy Reid is going to be good with that. But if they win the game, it's going to be because of Patrick Mahomes, and he's the best quarterback. I'm going to say the Eagles will do enough to offset that and come out with a 27-23 win.
All right, Meeker.
So yeah, I'm gonna just give you the keys to each team for each team to win the game, and we can have some conversation about that. See if you agree or you don't. So I'm gonna start with the Chiefs first. Keys to win the game for the Chiefs: 1, limit the pass rush with quick outs and screens, which they like to run. I think that you have to keep Reddick at bay, keep that pass rush at bay, and that's really the way that the Chiefs can do that. Which is, right off the line, boom, screen passes to their wide receivers, to Kelsey, to Pacheco, whatever. So I think that's one thing that they're going to have to do because they have to limit that pass rush. I think they have to establish a semblance of a running game to keep the Eagles from teeing off on the pass. They're not a good running team, but they've been better as the year has gone. As the years gone by, huh?
They
can't really.
The ball.
They're not going to be running the ball, but I think you have to respect the running game. I think the Eagles are going to have to respect the running game for the Chiefs to win. I'm not saying that they're going to have an easy time running the ball. I'm saying that the Chiefs. I
don't think Reid's going to have Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback in a Super Bowl, and you're going to see them run the ball when they haven't ran the ball all season.
They haven't run the ball all playoffs. I mean, they've basically passed it through the playoffs, but they had a little bit of a semblance of a running game towards the end of the season when Pacheco became a little bit more, when he became more acclimated to the offense. Anyway, they look, Jones has to win a few battles in the inside. They like to line him up, sometimes on the inside rather than as, on the edge. And I'm not sure if that's going to help, because Kelsey is always good at those blocks with inside pass rushers. So I'm really not sure that that's going to work for the Chiefs, but I think that they'll line him up all over the place and see if he can get to Hurts. I think they have to force Hurts to be a pocket passer and get a turnover in this game. And I think they have to create plays to get the wide receivers open and not just rely on Kelsey. So those, I think, are the keys for Kansas City to win the game. Do you guys have any comments on or add anything that – because I know Chalky brought a few things up. You have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say knowing Andy Reid from watching him all these years and then even this year, I'm not going to lean as much on they haven't run the ball, so they won't. I mean, that is the most exploitable part of the Eagles defense, and those guys are smart enough to know it. So it's not going to be 80-20, but they might run a little more, especially – red zone. I think Eagles are pretty bad red zone defense, so you might see stuff inside the 20. You don't want to take the ball out of Mahomes' hands too much, but I could see, like, Reid watched the tape. They do that. And as far as you were saying, Jones, look, Spags has got 2 Super Bowl victories. He's done some creative things. I'm sure he can come up with some things to maybe confuse the line and Hurts. And Sayamalo is probably the weakest link on the line if you're going to attack. I mean, I was looking at some of the advanced metrics, and Dickerson played really well, but he's like top everything on like the left guard, pass and rush block. So I think Sayamalo would be the one they try to line up over and maybe exploit if they're looking for a weakness on the line.
I mean, look, the bottom line, the Chiefs they've gotten sacks. Well, Chris Jones has gotten sacks this year, but they're 21st in yards per point. They're 13th in points per play, and they're in the bottom half of both third down conversion and red zone defense. So you could say all this stuff. Their defense is not very good. It's just not.
No, I mean Jones has played great in the playoffs.
Teams,
but he's the only.
But we
guy
only
really
base our whole
on
season
that.
on who's on schedule. Anyway.
Well,
That's
if you're
all
playing
I should
against
look at ever.
the Little
Is that what
Sisters
you're
of
telling me?
Poor, or you're
That's
playing
all I
against
should
Joe
ever look at.
Burrow.
So
there's
why
a
do they
difference.
play? They should just give the trophy to the
Listen,
Their schedule was
that's
better.
why they're playing the game. That's why they're playing the game. But I'm just saying,
But-
you're talking about playing against better teams with those stats.
But
yeah,
regardless, they were 21st in yards per
That's
point,
fine.
13th in points
We'll
per
see
play,
this week.
Let me get back to that point.
and
So,
their metrics weren't good.
Okay.
Kelsey just identifies who the best pass rusher is on the line, and that's who they double, right? I mean, so I don't know that I fear anyone else on that defensive line other than Jones, right? I mean, there's really no one there that you say, oh, I mean, that's
but
the guy
Jones
that
is a
we have to
monster.
watch.
Jones is the best defensive player in this game.
Yeah,
He's
but
a
the
monster.
point is when you have the line that they have, I mean, he's going to be neutralized because he's going to get doubled because Kelsey's going to find where he's at, and that's where he goes, on passing.
Clark is inconsistent, but Clark is good too, to some extent.
He's good, but he's not on that level.
No. And then the rookie from Purdue, Kalathis, I'm going to say his name wrong. Kalathis, he's had a pretty decent end of the year, so he's kind of picking up steam.
I think the Chiefs' game plan, I think it should be, is I'm letting Jalen Hurts beat me. I'm letting him beat me by throwing the ball. So
yeah, they got to make Hurts a pocket
beat
passer.
me, then you beat me.
Right,
but I'm
not.
not.
But the thing is, teams have tried to do that. San Francisco tried to do that, and the Eagles ran the ball down their throat.
Well, we differ on what happened in that game, but I think
the quarterback didn't affect their defense getting run all over.
Well, when they're on the field the whole game, because you go 3 and out on every play, then it makes your defense a little more, playing more.
The bottom line is they ran the ball. They played big boy offense and ran the ball down the throat, and then in the second half they really exploited it.
So I'm letting Jalen Hurts beat me. If you beat me, then you beat me. But I'm letting you beat me in the air. Like you're beating me with your wideouts. That's how I'm playing this game if I'm Spagnuolo.
So let's go to the Eagles. So on defense, I mean, they just have to continue to get pressure as they have all year and pretty much every quarterback and make Mahomes uncomfortable. I don't think this injury that he had, almost a month ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever, is going to matter. Everyone's saying he looks fine. I don't because everyone is saying he looks good.
Yeah,
everyone is saying
agree.
that he looks like.
I don't think
he looks good in practice under no pressure. I mean, against Cincinnati,
he's had 3 weeks to 4 weeks to heal that.
Yeah,
but he played, but he doesn't have 3 weeks to heal. He played. He played for 2 of the weeks. So
right, but I mean, it still heals, Tom.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the spring.
But you can clearly see
he might not be
100%,
but if he's 90%, that's fine. If he's 85%,
right?
I don't think it's
healthy,
going to affect him.
But part of his game is when he feels pressure, he drops back. Right, he drops back 7-8 yards, and he still could throw the ball on a dime, fast. It doesn't affect him if the further he goes from the ball. If he can't put pressure as much as he doesn't in other games, that could affect him easily. So that pressure could affect him. Yeah. I mean, he is just so we're aware, he's one of the 5 worst quarterbacks against pressure this year. We know that, right? Now they're third in allowing sacks, but when he has pressure, he has 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a passer rating of like 50 something. So he's one of the worst in the
That's fine.
league this year.
I'll ride with Patrick Mahomes. I'm fine.
Right,
that's that we don't care. Okay.
Eagles have to control the clock.
I'll take Patrick Mahomes. Okay. You could throw.
He's the best quarterback. There's no question about it. He's the best quarterback in the game. Nobody's saying that.
Then there you go.
But he also lost the Super Bowl, and he was the best quarterback in the league.
And he also won one.
So one of the other things that they've done all year is they've controlled time of possession. So I think they have to control the clock and wear down the defense and keep Mahomes on the bench. Because, the least you see of him, the better off you're going to be. You have to hit on some big plays. And I talk about big plays like 30-yard plays, some big chunk plays, and take advantage of their so-so, and I won't call them bad, but so-so secondary. I don't think they're a great secondary. I think they're okay secondary, and I think they can exploit that. They have to your point, Tom, they have to capitalize on any Mahomes mistakes. They have to get a turnover in this game, I think. I don't think they have to get a turnover to win the game, but it'll seal it if he makes a mistake. Obviously, we know Mahomes likes to do what he does and play street ball, and sometimes, it ends up not so good. I think you could see a play like that or two in this game. And for the Eagles, I just think that they just can't let the moment be too much for them, and Hurts especially. Like, if you have the ball in Hurts' hands at maybe 2-3 minutes left on the clock and they have to come back and win the game, you can't be Donovan McNabb and throw up on the field. So those are my points for the Eagles. You guys want to add anything to what the Eagles need to do to win this game?
I think it's
they
simple.
Need to dominate on the lines.
I think it's simple. I think the teams are evenly matched. They both have good offense line. They both have good defense line. The Eagles probably had the edge on both of those sides. And the game's going to come down to third down conversions, red zone defense, and turnovers. Hurts doesn't put the ball in harm's way. So if you just look at history for this season, it's less likely that Hurts has a turnover and more likely it's Mahomes if there is a turnover. So that's the edge back to the Eagles. Like I said, Chiefs red zone, Chiefs third down isn't as strong as the Eagles. So the Chiefs are better in two positions. Quarterback, they're better. Tight end, that's it.
Yeah.
And the disparity right there this season between the quarterbacks is not as much as it should have been going into the season on paper. The stuff Hurts does with his legs is just as important as he does with his arm. Does he have longevity? Is it sustainable? I honestly don't think so. I think he's more likely to become more of an average quarterback as his career goes on than to an elite quarterback. But this particular season, the way he uses his legs, what he does with his legs to the other running backs. I mean, you saw that when Minshew was in, how much more effective Sanders is, Gainwell is with the RPR, RPO, whatever offense you do, makes a big difference. So I think Hurts is less likely to have that turnover, and Mahomes is more likely to have that turnover in a game that's going to be very close.
Yeah,
and
I kind of agree with
offensive line that could dominate, a defense line. I mean, that could dominate.
I agree that he's more prone to throw the big pick than Hurts will because of just of the style of play, but this is my conclusion. Look, the teams are extremely evenly matched. They have the same record. Obviously, the strength of schedule, Jason brings that up. I mean, obviously, that's a little bit of a disparity, I guess you would say. But from 1 to 52, and the Eagles have the better line on both sides of the ball, better secondary, more depth, more diversity. They have the better run game. But Mahomes is a huge X factor, and Casey has more experience. They have the better coach or the more experienced coach. It's hard to imagine.
Notorious for not doing well in bigger games.
He's a Hall of Fame coach. Let's
I agree.
That's not the point. I do too. I'd rather have Andy Reid, but he is notorious for not coming up big in big games.
Okay, Sirianni, we have no idea. Sirianni could be the next Bill Belichick. Or
Andy Reid went to 10. How many? He went to 10 championships. Andy Reid, he has 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, right? It's fair. It's fair. You're not saying anything.
I mean, right? I mean, it is what it is.
There's also factors that happen in those games, and some of those games, you pin it on him, but he's gotten there.
How many challenges did he have in the second half last game? I think his challenges.
His time management is not great, but Sirianni, maybe is better than him in that regard, but. You give Andy Reid 2 weeks off a bye. You look at his off the bye record and stuff. When he has weeks to game plan, got a pretty good record.
Sirianni is 100% so far in his career.
Okay, well let's see if he can keep it up because Andy Reid's got a lot more of a track record.
So when it came down to it, I really said, it's really hard to imagine that the best quarterback in football loses another big game. But I do see that the Eagles. Again, he lost last year in the AFC Championship. It's hard to imagine that he would lose another big game, which he has.
He lost last year, and he lost in the Super Bowl the year prior.
I understand. It's hard to imagine that he would lose again. Is my point. We've already seen him lose
Aaron
big
Rodgers
games.
was the best quarterback in football for how many years?
Just let me finish. But I do see that the Eagles have more talent, and the deciding factor is, they'll make more big plays, control the game with the run. And they'll win it in a semi-high scoring game, but believe it or not, I mean, with the number at 51, I'm going to go under, but I wouldn't bet it at the same exact score that Chalky has at 27-23. Party on Broad Street. Does that put this Eagles team, the best Eagles team that we've ever seen? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. If they win, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. You just be based on the record and domination and how they went through the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. You have to. Now, are you saying if they lined up mano with some of the other teams, would they win? I mean, that I don't know, but just based.
Yeah, well, that's player. This is a better team than 2017.
Yeah, they're a better team than 2017. But if they don't win, then they're not.
They don't get that designation. They don't.
It's really that simple. They're trying to, their legacy is if they win, this will be the best Eagles team that ever.
If you don't win the Super Bowl, I mean, people stop talking about that Patriots team because they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. If you don't win and you're not the best team that season. How are you going to be the best team?
Kind of.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's going to be their legacy if they win.
Well, let me ask this non-confrontational question. Because I asked this before the first game of the year. Meek, you weren't on. I'll ask it again. If you could add any player from Eagles history to this team to play this game with their typical production,
Reggie White,
from a season, not their best year or their worst year, their average production, who would you pick? Because at the beginning of the season, I said Reggie White. You guys said McNabb because Hurts hadn't done anything. I'm not picking McNabb for the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that right now. But would you change your pick to play this game this week?
Obviously. If I pick McNabb, I don't remember. But
anyone in Eagles history, any player in Eagles history,
any player that was on the team take their typical year for their time here, right? So if if you had a guy that had a really good year and then a really bad year, you have to average that out.
Well, it's easy to say Reggie White because he might be the best Eagle ever, but I would say Brian Dawkins.
Right. Now,
for this team, I would say Brian Dawkins
is the answer for almost every.
It's Reggie White
and every game that's ever been played in any league in any.
Why would it be Reggie White? They have a good enough defensive line.
Because they would be even better. They would be even better.
To ever played the game.
I understand.
First of all,
that,
Meek, 60% of Brian.
Is there a weakness on this team? Is there a big weakness?
Yeah, but Dawkins,
not really, right? But is Brian Dawkins the biggest upgrade over
60% of Dawkins' plays are illegal. You can't even do half of the stuff that he did. No, I'm being serious.
All right. I get that part, but.
I mean, part of his game was his fear. You didn't go through You don't play that way anymore. Receivers can go right over the middle with no fear. I mean, it's not like.
Are we replacing a player, Chalky, or are we just saying we're adding him to the team?
I mean, you have to drop off the worst player at that position. Let's say.
I'll drop off.
What about
the best
T.O.
defensive end they have?
Yeah, I think you guys.
I mean, T.O.'s that's why I said the first one. He was a diva and caused trouble, but he had 2 great years. When he played here.
Who?
I don't think receiver is the biggest upgrade they need.
I think you're underestimating how good Reggie White was.
He was the best defensive player that has ever played.
I mean, I would probably still land on White, but to me, the biggest position deficiency, this guy's not going to be as good as Reggie White because nobody really is, but you're upgrading a position. Maybe thinking Seth Joyner at linebacker. He can turn the ball over. He can rush the quarterback. He can cover guys, and your linebackers are your weakest part of your defense. So. I mean, it's hard to say.
That's why I say
Reggie White.
I mean, unless you're giving me Lawrence Taylor, I'm not picking I wouldn't add a linebacker to any team.
But that's why I asked the question: are you just replacing a weak link on the team?
You're taking. Let's say you're taking one starter off the board. I get. I don't know. Yeah, if you want to pick McNabb, then you don't get Hurts.
So who are you taking off for Reggie White? You're taking Graham off?
I don't care.
Yeah, Josh Sweat.
If it's Sweat,
Derek Barnett,
or anybody. It doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah.
I would take anybody who's ever played defensive end in any game.
Would he make a bigger difference, you think, in this game?
He would get everybody on every play.
All right.
They would have to double team him.
I mean, anyway,
interesting question.
I wanted to go through this exercise because at the beginning of the year, we all kind of thought their biggest question mark was quarterback. They had built a great team around it, and that was the answer before for Tommy and Jason was McNabb because we don't know what Hurts is. We've seen what Hurts did this year. Does that change for this game? I'm just curious.
Well, yeah. Now I don't want Hurts. I don't want McNabb in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, you could say
I would rather put Foles in there.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else about
what's your
the game?
prediction, Tom? We're waiting with bated
breath. What's his prediction?
Yeah,
What's his prediction?
I picked against the Eagles. I think they're a better team. I think they're going to win. Oh wait, but what?
What's the score?
If somebody gets hurt, then it doesn't count.
77-3.
I have not picked. First of all, I haven't picked games like that, even the Eagles games like that. My picks have all been legitimate. I think the Eagles are better. I think for the reasons that I said. I think it's a close game. I think it's a low 20s game. I do
like
think
like the under?
I would. Yeah, I always like the under in the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles have a better chance to win by double digits than the Chiefs have to win by double digits. But ultimately, I think it's a close game that's going to be decided in the fourth quarter. It's going to come down to a red zone stop, a third down stop, just like I said, a turnover, and that's where I give the Eagles. And I think Reed has more of a issues trying to win those type of games. And the only reason he's been more successful as Kansas City is because he has Mahomes as quarterback. McNabb wasn't able to bail him out. Mahomes is. Mahomes, they should have no Super Bowls. It was 3rd and 87, right? And Mahomes threw that pass. The Niners let Tyreek Hill catch that pass.
That's
Otherwise,
fine,
they don't
but
have a Super Bowl.
He's in this game too.
Well, Tyreek Hill isn't, but Mahomes is. But what I'm saying is they should have no Super Bowls. And then Garoppolo throws that bad interception too to the end of that game. So, it could go any way. You could look at all the games, but that's any game.
Well, the former Chiefs teams that you're bringing up Tyreek Hill, I mean, if they had those guys this year, it might lean the other way.
Mahomes won the MVP without him, or he's going to win the MVP tonight. So,
no, when's the last time an MVP won a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
that was like in the early 80s or late 90s or
for a while,
early 90s, right?
So probably or something. I don't know.
Kurt Warner was the last one to do that.
Kurt Warner. Yep.
What was that, 97 something?
Yes.
No, 99. 2000, actually. 2000.
Well, yeah, the game was technically 2000, but yeah, 99 season.
I mean, I just, Mahomes is the best quarterback. He been in the league, 5-6 years? He still has only one Super Bowl. So, I mean.
Yeah, I just don't think Kansas City has enough talent around them to win this game. I just don't think they have enough. If they had Tyreek Hill, if they had maybe a better running back that you can lean on, I might go the other way. But I think the Eagles are just more talented all around to win. That's my opinion.
I mean, Tampa Bay beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl because they pressured them on 57%.
Kansas City's offensive line was decimated in that game.
But they pressured them on 57% of the plays. It was the most.
But the offensive line they had 3 offensive linemen that were hurt in the game.
Yeah, I understand that. But I'm saying that pressure on Mahomes is what beat them in that game. So they could do that again.
Probably a lot of pressure.
Which the Eagles could bring.
Well, we'll see. That's why they're going to play.
The Chiefs line's pretty good.
No, they are good. They are good. But
Eagles have a good defensive line, no question. Chiefs have a pretty good offensive line.
I mean, Chiefs are top 5 offensive line, maybe top 3.
They're in the goddamn Super Bowl. They're a good team. Nobody's saying they're not.
Yeah, but we just went over the last Super Bowl where they lost, where they had 3 offensive linemen that were hurt.
Right.
Yeah, the Chiefs also had a dog
who more talent too,
route to the Super Bowl that year against an overmatched Tennessee team and a Bills team that wasn't ready for prime time yet, or whoever they beat. The Cleveland team that was with Baker Mayfield.
Pretty easy trip to this Super Bowl too.
I'm not discounting them for making it, but even say their line was banged up, but they had easy opponents too when their line was banged up.
In 2017, the Eagles beat the Falcons in the first game and then beat Case Keenum in the NFC Championship game. And then they were going against,
and they won the game.
And they were going against Tom Brady.
Miracle.
Right, and they won.
Worst play in history of football.
Anyway, just one other point I'll throw in before I forget. I think the public money. I don't know the Chiefs are going to have the favorite at this point, but there's a lot of money to come in, and I think the majority of the money that's left to come out there is going to come in on the Chiefs. That's just a prediction on my part.
Yeah, I mean,
because you're starting to see them. Some of the places are changing the lines. They haven't changed the 1.5, but now they're pricing it so that way if you're giving that, in some cases, it's a discount to give the 1.5 as opposed to going to 1, right? So I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to get some money at the end, but
I mean the games should be probably a pick 'em. I mean it probably is close to 1 pick 'em either way. I mean they're evenly matched teams. There's no question about it. And Mahomes is the reason why they're evenly matched. If Mahomes isn't there, then they're not. I mean, look, you put Jalen Hurts on the Kansas City Chiefs they're not winning. You put Mahomes on the Philadelphia Eagles, they might not have lost the game this year.
They win by 35 probably.
Right.
Maybe, but
nobody's disputing that.
No, and that's the biggest position discrepancy of who's better is Mahomes better than Hurts. Like there's nobody,
and they were 1 and 2 in probably MVP votes, but we're still saying that's the biggest disparity.
Yeah, they were one. I think it was a total offense. They were they weren't 1-2 in MVP votes because Hurts wasn't a finalist. I don't think, but they're 1 and I think they're 1 and 2 in offenses, but the gap between
silly
Chiefs and the
Hurts
Eagles
is a finalist, isn't the Chiefs and
wait.
Yeah, but there wasn't 5 finalists in the MVP voting.
I don't know. It was all screwed up the way they announced. Maybe Hurts did end up being a finalist.
There was 5, and one of them was Justin Jefferson.
I mean, he's winning. No, Mahomes is winning.
I don't know.
I
haven't seen the Mahomes money coming to my account yet, but
it's fine.
It's 9:00, I think, tonight. And then the other thing, Chalky mentioned about, and Jason mentioned, he hasn't looked good throwing the ball in the playoffs. Which the 2 games he played, he hasn't looked good. But he also only had to throw the ball for a half. How many times have we seen quarterbacks not look good in the first half?
Oh no, I mean small sample size. He didn't have to throw the second half in either game.
So he never got a chance to throw in the second half.
I thought he looked okay. I thought he looked fine against the Giants. It's the 49ers. I thought he struggled a little bit, but he didn't have to keep throwing. So yeah, because I think somebody was listening to was trying to put stats and this, and I'm like, he didn't throw the ball in the second half. He didn't have to. So
we've seen so many times where quarterbacks don't look good throwing the ball in one half and come out in the second half or come out in the fourth quarter and change. So he never got that chance. So, I mean, I'm not saying he would have looked better, but just putting it out there. All right. Anything before we do the props? We give out our props. No, let's jump right to it. All right. So what we put together, Jason, you kind of came up with. We did. We'll each give 7 props. We're to make it clean. It's $100 wager. Obviously because of the plus 100s minus. It makes it where it's an easier value to figure out. Any prop on DraftKings is who we used.
No parlay.
We're not
unless they
if
they offered a parlay.
If it was like something through DraftKings, and no caps, you could do
that.
crazy, you could do Gatorade, whatever you want, you do. And then basically whoever has the most money after the 7 props next week, will, you get the brag that you won the prop contest. So let's just go through the horn, and I'll just start in the bottom to top. What I'm looking at, Chalky, you go first.
All right, so
and if anybody wants to comment or whatever, or you want to,
I won't talk too much about them, but I'll throw it out there if anybody wants to chime in. Sure. All right, last play of the game to be a quarterback kneel. I'm saying no, plus 155. Yes is a minus 200. I'm taking no, a plus 155. Longest 4th down conversion of the game, over under 2.5 yards. I'm taking over minus 105. The under would be minus 115.
Wait, that was 4th down. What was the 4th down conversion you said?
Longest 4th down conversion in the game. Yeah, over under 2.5 yards.
Over 2.5. And what is it?
Yeah.
What is
4th down conversion?
I understand, but what's the plus?
Minus 105.
Minus 105. Okay.
Which will happen first in the game? A punt or any score? I'm taking any score plus 110. Pacheco receiving yards. Now this moved overnight, but I'm taking over 15.5 on Pacheco receiving yards. That's minus 120. What has that got me at now? That's 4, right? Josh Sweat sacks over 0.75. That's plus 110. That moved as well overnight. That's 5.
He's plus 110?
Yep. He was plus 120 last night when I first put the spreadsheet together, and then I checked before we came on. He's down to plus 110 to have a 1 sack. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, not to say who I had, but I had another guy who was like plus 195. And he's better than Josh Sweat. That's why
he's plus 110. Yeah. Total KC Chiefs players that have a recorded rushing attempt. I'm going with over 5.5. That's plus 140. So at least 6 players will have a rushing attempt for Kansas City.
So who are your players that are going to do it?
Well, I don't know if Hilaire's playing or not, but if he ends up playing, you got the 3 backs. So McKinnon, Pacheco, Hilaire, Mahomes, and
Tony.
They could run sweeps with Tony. They have the Sky Moon or whatever the guy's name is.
Sky Moore, yeah.
So you need 2 of them. You're going to need 2 of them to do it.
And that's if Hilaire gets a carry.
I need 6 total. But I'm taking over 5.5 at a plus 140. I mean, I think there's a chance. I think there's a 50% chance, and that plus 140, that's a value pick. So that's 6, and then I have to decide between one of my 2 here. Frig it. I'll go with the long shot. Any offensive lineman to score receiving touchdown, 35-1.
All right, that's 7. All right.
That's 7.
Meeker, are you prepared for your 7?
No, skip me for a minute because I have to write down the odds on some of this stuff. I didn't write that down.
Well, we have the odds. Me and Chalky will figure it out.
Okay. So, Hurts to score a touchdown. I believe that's plus 700. So I'm going to take that.
Hurts to score.
First
touchdown
is plus 700.
Okay.
First of the game?
Any time is minus 115.
I was going to say, I want to bet on your book.
First touchdown. Sorry.
Yeah.
There is a special on DraftKings for Hurts to score, Sanders for 65 plus yards, and Brown 80 plus yards. That's at 675.
So what is it? Hurts touchdown, Sanders?
65 plus.
Yeah.
And Brown 80 plus.
Chalky, could you confirm that one?
Those are going to be trickier to find, so we'll go with it for now.
It's like
and how much?
It's not the easiest.
675
website
is
so.
675.
Okay.
This is just a straight, like, I guess the odds is probably like 105 or 110 if you want to look it up. But Boston Scott over 11 yards rushing. That's like his line, 11. I'm going to take the over on that.
All right. Let me just see here. So that might be the alternate.
No.
The DraftKings right now has it at 7.5, but that's a minus 140 line as over.
So are you using an alternate line for 11 yards?
That's what I saw. I saw 11 plus. I mean,
how much was it? What was the 11?
What's it, minus 140? Is that what you're saying?
What was the 11?
11 yards
11 was?
rushing.
Now, so right now it's 7.5. That's minus 140 over on Boston Scott rushing.
No, but what was Meeker's odds at the 11? Minus 140 as well?
I'll trust if that's what the case is. I didn't write that down. So
he didn't have
then
odds.
he must have looked at an alternate or something. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of these like numbers like that, they could change overnight depending on when he looks. That's that's tricky.
I mean, that's a big change. That's not.
I think he just looked like 2 seconds ago.
I don't.
That's not going to
see. I don't see an alternate line for him on their tab for alternate rushing. But
what do you have as his line on rushing? Is there just above plus or minus?
Rushing yards. The only thing I'm seeing right now is 7.5.
Oh, that's in a different area, I think. Well, I mean, if I get 7.5,
I mean, that's the thing. They have these things spread out. It's hard to
140.
find some of the exact stuff, but
it's all juiced up. It's minus 140. All right. Well, that's fine. All right.
We'll roll with
next.
that. There is a prop where the game is tied at half and the Eagles win. That's plus 1,200.
Oh, shit. Okay. Kind of random.
That's fun.
I am going to go with Dallas Goedert. First score. That's plus 1,600.
Hold on. I had the wrong half. Hold on. Let me just. That's easy enough to find. He's now plus 1,200.
Oh, that really? That
Yep.
dropped pretty considerably. Okay. All right. Well, I'll take that. We'll keep that. And I'm gonna go under Mahomes yards. That's just like a straight, probably minus 105.
Now,
299.5. You have that?
Passing yards overall, he's at 295.5 minus 115. Went under that.
Under. Yes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's
Question
my
for you guys: Isn't Beaker's in Jersey and you're in Pennsylvania? Does that change the DraftKings stuff? Or
No, I don't think the odds will change.
I don't think it does so much as it did when they first started, and there wasn't a lot of states involved. But I think now
I don't think the odds change. I think it's
there are bets. There are bets available in Jersey that Pennsylvania may not have, like certain player props and everything. But
I seriously just looked at that Goddard thing before we started tonight. I can't believe it changed that much that fast.
I mean,
I can show it to you afterwards, so you know I'm not being.
Let me check because I'm Jersey too. So,
but I'm up to 6, right? Am I have 6 right now?
Yeah, Goddard first touchdown. Good.
Yeah. All right. So one more, and this is the longest of all shots because no defensive player. Well, rarely does a defensive player win MVP. But I'm gonna go with Reddick MVP plus 3,000. Now, although we're not doing any parlays, I was gonna say although we haven't done any parlays. I did put this parlay together. It's not part of this, but I think it's a good one. So I put together an Eagles running back special where you can get Scott 11 yards or more, Gainwell 20 yards or more, Sanders 55 yards or more for 350. I think that's a good bet. And on the other side, KC receiving special, Valdez-Scantling 4+ catches, Kelsey 7+ catches, and Pacheco 3+ catches. That's 800. So if you think that Kansas City is going to throw the ball a lot, that's not a bad bet either. But I know I can't use that on this segment.
All right, so that's 7 for Meeker. Jason, you give yours.
Yeah, so I mean, most of my personal bets, I'm going to be betting unders on, yards, receptions, just because the public bets overs and everything, especially in the Super Bowl. So those odds are going to be skewed. But for purposes of this, I'm going to give some fun things to root for. So I'm going to start with Marcus Valdez-Scantling. He's only at 2.5 receptions. It seems kind of low. He had a pretty big game last game. Minus 120, so it's a little juice on it. But I'm going to go over 2.5 receptions for Valdez-Scantling. I'm going to go under in sacks for the game at under 5.5. We just mentioned how good both lines are. Hurts hardly ever gets sacked. Mahomes, I don't see him getting sacked too much in the game. I just think 5.5 is a little high.
Mahomes don't take sack. He gets rid of the ball.
Yeah, I mean it's juice too. It's minus 120. But I think that sack line's pretty high. I'm going to go Pacheco touchdown. He's a local guy. He's actually from Vineland, I think. So I think they're going to try and get him in the end zone. That should be plus 115 for anytime touchdown for Pacheco. I'm also going to do a Goddard anytime touchdown, and I believe that's plus 145.
That's up to 150 right now.
It's 150 for Goddard. I'll take it.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say was Pacheco?
115.
That's down to 110, so it just
110. Okay. All right.
And then, only evens out if both hit.
Yep.
Quiet you.
And I'm going to go Gainwell. I think Gainwell's becoming their best running back, especially lately. I think they're going to him more. I think he's more versatile than Sanders. I'm going to go Gainwell with a touchdown. I believe it's plus 320. Chalky, keep me honest there.
Gainwell anytime.
Yeah, it was 320 when I looked.
310.
310.
Okay.
Now this one, I wanted to do a Hurts under somewhere. I don't know if I trust the under in rushing yards because Chiefs are not good against scrambling and rushing quarterbacks. So I'm going to go under in his passing yards. I'm going to just take a shot at under 239.5. And I believe that's minus 115. And then my last bet is I'm going to bet Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP. I believe he's plus 120 at this point. I just think if the Chiefs win, he's going to win MVP. If the Eagles win, they spread the ball around a lot. Odds are Hurts would get it, but there's a chance that Hurts won't get it. So I'm going to just go Mahomes plus 120 for MVP.
All right. And then mine. So I, one of the things I picked up on is that the Chiefs allow 5.8 receptions to backs each game, which is close to what they allow to our, wide receiver ones, which I thought was interesting, but makes sense. They are a high blitz percentage team, and one way to beat the blitz is 30 your back. So And similar to Jason, I focused on Gainwell as their best catching receiver. He also has played like 120 third downs this year versus Sanders 7. So he gets the third down snaps. So I did and Chalky, you probably could verify because forgot we're on video. You could probably verify because I looked at these earlier, but his over receiving yards was 11.5, and that was minus 130.
Yeah, I bet that personally, but I didn't use it as my.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I had to reboot DraftKings. It knocked me out, and I was losing.
All right, so I'll just give you my odds, and then Chalky can update them.
Keep going.
And what was it, minus 130? You said
minus 130. His total receptions, I have over 1.5. That was minus 140. So I'm going.
All right,
for
so
the
here we go. So receptions, I got that up.
The odds.
How many receptions?
Gainwell,
1.5.
Okay.
Yeah, over minus 130. That's correct.
For
and
the yards
for him was 11.5.
Wait. Receptions was 1.5 minus 130, so that dropped.
Yes,
it was 140. Yep. So that's 130. Good. And what's the receiving was 11.5.
And that's minus 130 right now.
That's what it was. Okay, good.
Okay, yeah.
And then I did one of those special whatever I found on DraftKings. Now I live in Delaware, so I can't use DraftKings, so I'm not very familiar. So I was trying to figure out the site. But I did Gainwell anytime TD and Eagles win the game. I guess was like a prop that they had, and that was plus 600. So figure if he scores, Eagles win, get 6-1. Okay. Will the first coaches challenge be successful? So this is I'm banking on big old fat Andy Reid challenging first, and a big old no plus 110. Hurts passing touchdowns over 1.5. That's minus 105. Where I didn't write it down, but the Chiefs average like 1.9 yard touchdowns per allowed passing per game. Now this is the one I was talking about with Chalky. So I had Brandon Graham sack 0.75 at plus 195. Is that so? They're telling you they think Sweat has a better chance to get a sack than Graham.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm playing the Graham Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Go with that. And then for my 7th one, first interception of the game, Chauncey Gardner, Sanders, Chauncey, I don't know, plus 800. Whatever his name is.
Gardner Johnson plus 800, yep.
And that's my 7 props.
All right. I was trying to find who's going to burn their first time out. I couldn't find it on DraftKings. I would have bet Kansas City on that one.
I was looking for penalties. Was another one where Sheffers averages like. Did you see he averages like 4.8 more penalties his staff than any other staff, which is ridiculous. I was looking for the over/unders on penalties, but I couldn't find that on DraftKings as well. But something
I have a bunch of MVP bets I made. Like I made them a while ago. I have Pacheco plus 150-1. I have McKinnon at 100-1. I have Gainwell at 200-1. So if the Eagles win and Gainwell scores and wins MVP, I'm going to be pretty happy. I also have Sanders. I mean, his odds are not great. They were like 25-1, but
his odds for a touchdown was like minus 110 or something.
Yeah,
too,
I actually think he's going to score, but
I know it's just still like you're getting 320 on Gainwell, and I thought that was strange.
I won't bet it. But yeah, I mean, I have some nice MVP. I mean, odds are quarterback's going to win it, but I mean, you never know.
See, I think if the Eagles win, it's not going to be the quarterback that wins MVP.
You don't know.
Here's the thing, and I remember this from I have a friend that votes for MVP, and it was a year Brady won the MVP, and it was like he didn't even deserve the MVP, and they basically said, well, we got to vote for Brady. He even said, everybody's just going to vote for Brady because the Patriots won, and he was good enough. So they look for reasons.
A warning.
They look for reasons to give the quarterback the MVP. So you really need to, except last year, really Stafford, I guess, could have gotten it. He had an okay game, but Kupp had double digits.
Got it right.
No, Donald
was it? No, Kupp got it right. Cooper Kupp got it.
Got it right. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, they maybe they look for quarterbacks that win MVP when it's a quarterback that sells the story, like Mahomes, Brady. I think Hurts could possibly sell.
Yeah.
I think it's likely a quarterback gets it if they win. But yeah, I mean, to Jason's point, like, yeah, Reddick has a fumble recovery, a touchdown, who knows, or
yeah. So I took this was going to be, if we had 10, I would have threw this in with the 10. My MVP bet is Sweat at 200-1. He's got the most favorable matchup on the line. And if he can get 2.5 sacks, a fumble, maybe something there. I don't know. 200-1.
Yeah, you got to score a touch. If you're a defensive player, you probably got to score a touch.
Well, right, and that's the other thing is he can pick up a fumble and run. We saw him run that interception back. It's unlikely, but it's in the play there. He could get 2 sacks in the game at the very least.
I mean, Von Miller won that 1 year, but
Von Miller won. It's rare for a defensive player to get it.
Ray Lewis,
200-1.
The Seahawks linebacker won one. He interception touchdown, right? The guy for Tampa Bay interception touchdown.
Dude
I think he's capable of picking up a fumble or messing up a screen pass and running it back. We saw him do it against Dallas, so I think he's more likely to score than Gardner Johnson, for instance, like coming as a safety to pick it off. But that was my MVP bet, and then 2 pre-made DraftKings parlays that I would play. So this one is they give you 4 players, and 3 of them have to score a touchdown of the 4. So one I would play is any 3 of Pacheco, Goddard, McKinnon, Devontae Smith. That's plus 450. And then any 3 of Kelsey, Goddard, Kadarius Toney, and Devontae Smith. That's plus 500.
Very good.
What's the under/over on showing Donna Kelsey on the screen?
That's not a bet that DraftKings will book. You got to go off.
There's like Bovada. Those sites will have that. Yeah, one thing me and Jason were talking about was the over/under on how many people will throw a pass, which was 2.5. So I would go under there because I think the script that Sirianni is going to try to match the Philly special, and Reed does this and Reed does that. So I think that value is on the under or the no there. It was like minus whatever. I think plus 200 was the yes. So.
Yeah, I'll try to find that.
It could happen, of course. I just think you're getting value.
One of the bet that I thought was a sure thing, so of course it lost, was back in Super Bowl, whatever it was, when the Harbaugh brothers were coaching against each other. It was how many times will their father be shown from kickoff to close the game, and it was over under 1.5. I thought, well, at least they'll show him twice. They only showed him once. So sucker bet. I fell for it.
I mean, the thing too, it's like they probably talk to producers of the the networks and know exactly where how the script of the game, the production of the game is going to go.
I mean, if you go on an offshore book, it's who's going to be shown first during the national anthem: Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or Travis Kelce or Jason Kelce, and then they have it for America the Beautiful too, because they do both now. So it's
Yeah, I mean the offshore books get a little wild with some of the stuff for sure.
Yeah.
All right. That's anything else before we wrap this up? Broad Street Hustle, episode 40. Catch us on Twitter at Broad Street Hustle. Hopefully we'll get this out on YouTube. You can just YouTube us, whatever that's called. Broad Street Hustle. At least 3 of the 4.
The channel in the show notes if you're listening to this. Yes.
Yeah, maybe a link would probably help. And that's it. Next week is we'll see what happens. I don't know what we're going to talk about because football's over. So we shall see. Thank you.